Hello everyone, welcome to the Adaptive Equipment presentation for our OT 571-572 course. The topic today will be the adaptive nail clipper. The points of emphasis will include the following: a description of the client and the functional limitations he experiences, additional diagnoses that may benefit from the adaptive nail clipper. We'll provide an overview of manufactured nail clippers, adaptive nail clippers that are available online and for purchase. I talk about why you would create an adaptive nail clipper and the benefits the device would have for an individual with limitations such as Blake's. Also going to provide an overview of the materials needed to create the device, and this will include a video overview of the device and describing the specific parts, as well as a demonstration of how the client would use the device to cut his nails. And lastly, we'll end with the references I used to create the presentation. Moving on to the client and his functional limitations. Our client's name is Blake. He's a 65-year-old male, and he has been diagnosed with substance use disorder, anxiety, depression, and rheumatoid arthritis. He currently lives in the community placement fieldwork setting that I'm currently in, Building Men for Life out of Holland, Michigan. It's a peer-to-peer recovery home where he resides with 5 other men who also face addiction issues and are working together to manage their addiction to live independent lives. The functional limitations Blake experiences as a result of rheumatoid arthritis include poor fine motor strength, limited range of motion in his fingers and wrists, tender or swollen joints. He also experiences fatigue when he uses his fingers. And there's also the potential for future finger deformities if he continues to use his fingers on a daily basis, so that has to be managed. You also have to consider personal hygiene, as if Blake doesn't cut his fingernails, there could be bacteria growth, and that could affect his health in a number of ways. Additional diagnoses that may benefit from the adaptive nail clipper include stroke. Any individual that's had a stroke or CVA, they may experience hemiplegia that can lead to limitations on one side of their body where they'll be unable to cut their fingernails due to the weakness in their upper extremity. There's also the potential for congenital hand deformities, and as a result they're unable to use a regular nail clipper. You also have to consider vehicle and work accidents that may take place, which could damage the hands for the individual. Moving on to available adaptive equipment. Here are 3 examples. The range of cost is around $25 to $35 each. That's on average. Example 1 is a one-handed nail clipper, which is available from Colonial Medical, and that costs $31.95. Basically, all you do is you have to place your finger in the notch, and it's battery operated, so the nails are cut just by simply putting your finger in the notch. Example 2 is a press-on nail clipper, which costs $33.95, and that works the same way as the first example. And lastly, the nail clipboard is it's a version that's a simpler version. It's $19.94, and that's available from rightstuff.biz. Additional costs and cons of the devices. You have to consider shipping. Most of these objects you have to purchase online. That could cost another additional $5 to $7. The first 2 are very bulky and require batteries, so those are extra costs and factors to consider. Why create an adaptive nail clipper? For Blake, there's a number of psychological implications. As far as self-esteem, that may be reduced because he's unable to cut the nails by himself. Living with a bunch of other guys, he might be afraid to ask them for help, or feel that they might look down on him for asking, for help in this situation. This could also lead to his depression and other psychological issues that he faces. The nail clipper will encourage independence for Blake, use of both of his upper extremities, so Despite his limitations, he'll be able to cut his nails and use both of his upper extremities to complete the activity. And this is working within the context that he lives. The device can be taken anywhere. This could obviously improve the overall quality of life as he's able to independently cut his nails. This reduces the health concerns that we talked about as far as bacterial growth and having long fingernails that might scratch himself or others. So that will help with this issue. And lastly, it's cost effective. To create this device, it can cost anywhere from $5 to $9, depending if you use materials around your home or you go out and purchase them. Here's some examples of materials you could use to create the device. You will need a nail clipper and file. The file is optional, but I bought both in a pack for $3 at Walmart. A wooden base of some kind is needed. This provides an opportunity to be client-centered. You can find a wood base that matches their interests. As you can see, a heart, for example. Suction cups are also needed on the top right there. That provides support for the device. I found those at Michael's craft shop for about $2 to $3. On the bottom left are foam sheets. You could use a device at home or materials from home, but I used a foam sheet to make a wider handle for the nail clipper. A clothespin could also be used to attach the file to the base of the adaptive nail set. And lastly, there are some pictures of thermoplastic. I used the thermoplastic to create a nail catch for the device, so it's easier to gather the clippings when the individual is done cutting their nails. Next, we'll provide an overview video of the nail clipper features and a demonstration with the client. Hello everyone, I'm going to provide a brief overview of the features of the adaptive nail clipper. Quick overview of the device. Starting at the bottom, there are 4 suction cups. These help provide support. You can just attach it to the table. It's really helpful for an individual with limited fine motor strength. As you turn it around, there's a pad here so they could actually use their palm instead of their fingers to cut their fingernails. Attached on the side here is a file, so they can also file their nails as well. And then it's on a clothespin, so you could actually take it off and adjust as needed, change it to the other side, or change the file when it's worn out. And lastly, the wood base provides support for the fingers and hand, and that makes it easier for them to switch, digits as they cut. This is Raul here. He's demonstrating how he would use a nail clipper if he had regular use of his hands as far as fine motor strength. As you can see, cutting your nails requires fine motor strength to flex your PIP and MP joints. There's a little bit of wrist ulnar deviation and definitely a pincer grasp. Now Raul's going to switch over to our adaptive nail clipper here. Go ahead and put your hand in there. You can put it on the table. The table's better. And as you can see, he doesn't have to use his fingertips as much to cut his nails. So he uses his fingertips, his palm there, instead of his fingertips to press down on the handle of the nail clipper. And if you want, you can actually can you rest your right wrist on the table? And if you rest your right wrist on the table there, you could actually...
It's more comfortable.
It's more comfortable. And for an individual with limited upper extremity strength, that could help out as far as providing support. That's our video. Thanks for watching. Here's a list of the references that I used to gather information for the project. That's the end of the presentation. Thank you for listening, And here's the last quote to go home with as motivation for the rest of the semester. Thank you.